Hi everybody, welcome. We are playing our review game today, and this game is called Let's Make a Deal. This game is based on the game that you may or may not have seen on TV. I bet by the show of hands, not many of you have. How many people have actually seen this game on television before? Hi everybody, my name is Ryan O'Donnell. Thanks for giving this game show called Let's Make a Deal a chance. This game's significantly different from a lot of other games that are out there, a lot of other games that I make and use in my classroom. But I'm glad that you're giving it a chance. And I think more than anything else is to be able to tell yourself, I'm gonna try something new, something a little bit more creative. A couple of the differences. First off, number one is the idea about what you're playing for, what you're playing to, or the scoring structure. And so most games will have points involved, and this one's very different from that. This one is all about money. Instead of me asking you guys questions and giving you points every time you answer a question correctly, I am going to give you a thing called money. Money, money, money. So when you answer a question correctly, I'm going to be like, ladies and gentlemen, there is $10. Mouths are wide open, shocked, and yes, you are asking yourselves, is this real money? And this is real. Play money. A couple of the differences. First off, number one is the idea about what you're playing for, what you're playing to, or the scoring structure. And so most games will have points involved, and this one's very different from that. This one is all about money. And so that's the fun part of it. The second piece is that a lot of the drama comes not necessarily from the questions that are being asked and the answers, but what you do as the game show host, as the facilitator of this experience, is after they get a question correct, you give them money, but then you're going to be able to offer them some ideas, some options, and some choices, and be able to have them deal or not take the deal. And so I hope that you really sort of jump in with both feet in terms of trying to be able to really kind of be a game show host, because it really helps this experience become much more valuable. So let me walk you through a little bit about the game. Okay, so when you play any game, one of the big questions that the kids are going to ask right from the beginning is, what are we playing for? Each teacher has their own sort of extrinsic motivations, and I would be able to sort of create your own, decide what works best for you. My go-to is their kids, and no matter what, they like candy, they like chocolate, they like something, some treats. And I know a lot of necessary schools and states say, hey, we should not necessarily be doing those things. That's one's on you. Other sort of rewards that you can give extra credit, you can give passes, you can be able to get a chance to sit in a special seat or whatever. But I would say, hey, you create your own. Be very open about them, about what they're playing for from the very beginning. Second thing about what this game is, it's about, like I mentioned before, it's about money. So you're going to need some money. Take a look here at some of the money that I have. The money that you see can be readily found at a lot of different places, at toy stores. You go to Amazon and you're going to be able to find a lot of play money. You can find large ones and small ones and such. I want to try to be able to find the most realistic money that I can find. Relatively cheap. You can find these things for somewhere between $10 and $15. But you're going to want to be able to have a set of it, and like you can see down here, a set in which that you can be able to manage, be the banker and such, as you're going to be able to pass out. So let's talk about the money. Since this game is all about money, the teams are required to be able to get as much as they can. How are they going to get the money? So briefly, let me just describe how I set up the game. Generally, class, like you can see here, of about 30 to 35 kids, I'm going to divide my class up into about 3 teams. Have those teams in a perfect world to be able to group themselves together. Those 3 teams, every single time we're going to have a separate question. I'm going to have one person from each of those teams come up to the front of the room. What I'm going to need each time is one person from each team is going to come on up here. All of our answers will be done via a whiteboard. When each of the players comes up to the front of the room, there's going to be a whiteboard and a pen for each one of them. This is how they're going to answer the questions, by simply writing down their answers. And then we have 2 different types of questions. Generally, we're going to have questions that are going to be asked in which that everybody can win. It means everybody has the opportunity to win some money on that one. So what I'm going to do is ask a question. Let's say, who was the first president of the United States? Students would write down the name George Washington. Then what they would do is, instead of showing them, I'm going to be able to have them simply cover them up so that the other 2 people on either side of them aren't able to see them. At the end, when I feel like they're ready, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. Have them show their boards, and the students have the correct answer would win the money for that particular one. Other sets of questions are going to be how fast the first person, because I only want one winner for this one. So that one's going to be, who was the first president of the United States? George Washington. And how quickly I can be able to raise and show my board would make that person the winner. Here is your first question. This one, you're going to write it and hold it to your chest. It's not a race. What is the reoccurring element that has symbolic significance? This is repeated throughout. Hold it tight to your chest. I'm going to ask you to show me in 3, 2, 1. Show me your boards. Motif, plot, and motif. Correct answer, class, is?
Plot.
Motif is right. Thanks for playing. Can you go have a seat? You two guys can stay because guess what? I got something for you. After a question has been answered, the students are going to be given a certain amount, and the game can dictate and show you how much it is. The early rounds, each kid will get $10 for winning for answering a question correctly. Later on, it moves up to 20. But I do want to be able to say this entire game, the whole premise of it is 100% customizable. Do something that works for you. Everything from how much that you're paying to them to what the kinds of questions. That is the biggest thing I really want you to think about. Which of these kind of questions and deals that I create do you want to be able to use? Which ones do you not want to use? And how do you want to be able to modify it and put it on your own? Make this fit for you and make it fun for you and the kids. So in essence, it works like this. Kid gets their money. Congratulations, it was George Washington. Then I hand each of those players their money. Before they leave, I say, put down your whiteboards though. I got a question for you. Here's your question. And this is the creativity. Do you want to keep that $10 or do you want something else? And that something else is when you get creative. That is when you put things in boxes, you put things in envelopes, you put things in balloons. You put things anywhere you want and something is in them. Something is inside this box. Something is inside this balloon. Do you want to be able to take that $10 or do you want to take a risk here? And let's make a deal. It's the classic, do you want to look behind a curtain? And the PowerPoint's designed where there's things that are behind a curtain that will open up and you can get them more money. Instead of the $10, you may end up with a 20. Or hey, you could get a zinger and you end up with a $1 bill. Or you could end up with a penny or something like that. That gives you a total of $10. There you go. But before you leave, hey, you know what? Hey, thanks for playing. You had the right answer though. You're out of here. Hey, there's $10. What do you want that?
Keep it.
I'll let you shake
Keep
it.
the money. Keep the money.
You want to shake it?
Oh no, you don't.
It's just a bunch of ones.
Keep the money.
Think it's a bunch of ones?
I'm gonna guess it's 10 ones.
You think it's 10 ones, so you think it'd be the same thing?
Yeah.
So you're gonna keep your 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if I put a, hey, speaking of ones,
The money is-
what if you give the box and $2?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Nobody's risking.
I'm gonna put $3 on there.
Just go get it.
I love collecting these kind of props and fun things to be able to use, but at the most basic, keep it simple. You could be giving things away on the screen, or you could be able to have them pick from envelopes. An envelope or a box is a very simple way for them to be able to have choice, and there's something just innate about wondering what's in the box. Just like on Christmas, when you shake that box and you go, I don't know, did I get a tie or is that something super exciting? We always think what's exciting is when we don't necessarily see it. That's the reason why the game is so successful in the first place. You just decide also, what do you want to be able to put inside these? So for here, I offer again. By the way, in this one, you can see I put candy in here. I added some paper to be able to change the way in which that it sounds. And here I put in a bunch of lifesavers for them, or things as such. And so, in essence, that's the game in its entirety. You create however many questions that you want to be able to demonstrate covering the unit that you've been doing. And then you have a bunch of these dilemmas for them. What you want to be able to see them make that choice. Sometimes if it's the fast question, you're only playing for one of those kids to be able to make a choice. Other times, all the kids. So let's say if I'm doing the balloons, sometimes many of the questions that you'll see is that whoever answered it first would be able to pop multiple balloons. You get to pop 3 balloons. The team that came in second, you'll get to pop 2 balloons. And the team that came in third, or let's say if they didn't even answer the question correctly, I'll still give them a chance to win. They can pop 1 balloon. And the neat part is inside the balloon, even if they're popping 1, it could be $1 or it could be 100. You don't construct this, it's all random and it's really kind of a fun experience. You just need to be able to kind of let yourself go in terms of let the sort of the fun happen. Let me walk you through a little bit about what some of those individual challenges look like. First game I want you to look at, or the deal that the kids can make, is I call this one Dice Duel. If the kid gets the question correctly, the student gets it correctly, I'm telling them they get to be able to, I'm not giving them a certain amount of money. It's not $10 or not $20. They get to roll the die. And again, I love giant props. This is a nice foam die, which you can get from Amazon. You can get little inflatable ones. For me, I like to have a little much more sturdy ones because the kids are going to want to be able to roll this. It's a really fun experience. Some of my great memories watching games like Let's Make a Deal and Price is Right. I always wanted to be able to spin the wheel, drop the Plinko chip. And so you can do some of these things digitally and you can put them up on the screen, but boy, there's something real and fun by the tangible piece of actually rolling a die. And so this one simply is whatever you roll, you multiply it by 10. So if you roll a shuffle 5, congratulations, you got $50. And so that's what the kids who get the questions right. All of you got George Washington, roll the die. But I say, hold on a second, and you got to build in a little bit of drama. Before you roll the dice, let me ask you a question. And I bring up the next slide. The next slide says, do you want to roll it once, or I'll let you roll it twice? You can get double the amount. You can roll it once, roll it again, and get 10 times on each of those. Or, but in order to be able to do that, you got to answer me an extra question. So it's on you. And so the kids will often, I notice it's about a 50%. So 50% of them say, I'll take it. 50% of them say, no thanks. But that's a fun way for them to be able to take that gamble. And it's fun to be able to see the kid says, no thanks, I'll just roll it once. And then they go back, they get their money, they see the question's relatively an easier one that they could have got, or the other way around. So fun way to be able to do that, and that one's called Dice Duel. Another one of these challenges is nothing to have to do with the game at all. I like to be able to break it up. A lot of times in games I'll throw pop culture in there or fun things, and this is one. This one is called the scavenger hunt. Scavenger hunt is simply going to be you bringing kids up and you say, hey, no questions this time. I'm going to set a timer and I want you to go run back out to your group and collect however many things that you can. I remember this at birthday parties as a kid. I loved being able to go throughout up and down the street trying to be able to find a certain thing. So for this one, I'm going to say, I'm going to give you, again, be creative and do whatever you want with it. I would give $5 for each. And I say, hey, listen, go talk to all the kids in your group, and you got 45 seconds. How many highlighters can you get? There'll be a $5 for every single one of them. You bring them on back, and I put these back up on my front table, and however many that team could put on their whiteboard at the end of the 45 seconds, I'm going to go through and count them at the end. This thing is called a highlighter. I'll give you $5 for each highlighter you can get. Here. We're going to go bring them back. Collect them. Highlighters. God. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, time. Gotcha. Let's start over there. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, $35 there. One of the other question types that I have is a thing called random money. Random money is an opportunity for me to be kids up, and there's no question again. Similar to the scavenger hunt, but this one I'm just going to come up with something fun. I want to find one of the 3 kids that has an opportunity to win. So I'll throw something like this question. Whoever's birthday has the shortest, the least number of letters, you win. That's simple. To have them have an opportunity. Great time, by the way, to be able to, some of those kids who are really anxious and don't want to play, and I could be able to convince them because I put a little something on a slide for me to know in the corner that the next question is this random one, that I can be able to entice some of those kids who are a little bit more hesitant towards playing. So bring them up. Whoever has this, whoever wins that one, I say, hey, congratulations, you're the winner of random money. How much money are you going to get? And then I say, hey, listen, I got some $5. I got some $5 bills here. I'm going to give a $5 bill for every, and then you come up with some questions. How about for every letter in your last name? Oh, my name's long. O-D-O-N-N-E-L-L, something like that. Or how many pets do you have? Or name how many states that start with the letter M. Montana, Missouri, oh my gosh, and you'll hear kids still freak out. I just had one today. Miami, not a state, keep going. And so it's kind of fun. Put timers on things. So a good way to be able to get some hesitant players is through these kind of random money questions. Ready? Random money question. I just need to know. I want one person to tell me what month, all of you, tell me what month you were born. Whoever has the short, it's not speed, the shortest you were born in? August.
I was born in
January. And you're born in May. That's 3 letters. Nice job. You guys can have a seat. Thanks for playing. That was a lot of fun. I'm going to give you money. This money, though, is a little, again, it's about you. It's about you. It is $2 for every letter in your last name. This isn't about a particular question, but let me talk to you about how you can zing the kids, how they can be able to, if they're making a deal for, I want an envelope or I want the money, if they go for the envelope, sometimes you don't want it to work out very well for them, but you be creative with a little bit and be fun. So here's a couple ideas, is Gosh, you gotta love the Dollar Trees, the Dollar Generals of the world. So why don't you go and buy yourself a couple of interesting things that the kids may not necessarily get angry with and say, oh man, that was terrible. Give them a little bit of something. So for example, where'd it go? Give them some stickers. So like Minions are a very cute character. Do you have a character connected with you in your class? Something along that line. So for me, I'm a Star Wars fan. I got a lot of Star Wars stuff in my room, so I may be able to put some Star Wars things with that. Another thing I've been doing recently has been having a side table in my classroom for off times where I have a jigsaw puzzle. If kids want to be able to come in at lunch and work on a puzzle so they know I'm a puzzle person. So at the dollar store, I say, hey everybody, you zinger, womp womp. The box is filled with a tiny little dollar store jigsaw puzzle. And the kids walk away all depressed, so try this though. I'm like, hey, I did this today. Kids walking back there and I'm like, too bad you didn't win anything. Hey, by the way, set a timer on my watch. If you can finish this 48 puzzle in 5 minutes, then I got 20 bucks for you. Ready, set, go. And they go to the back table while the rest of the kids are playing. He's feverishly trying to be able to do the puzzle. So kind of a fun way to be able to play with what the game calls zonks. This next one is the kids have a lot of fun with, but definitely is this something that you're going to want to bring into your classroom? There's a couple reasons why you may not want to. This one is called Bullseye. And Bullseye is designed in which that I'm going to give you an opportunity to shoot a Nerf dart and have it land, and wherever it lands, you get that much money. And so you can see I put up a collage I made of some different dollar bills denominations. And you're going to stand from a distance and shoot one of these Nerf darts. Whoever, I mentioned like the balloon game, whoever gets the most, and this one will get to, whoever gets the question correctly first, they're going to get the most shots. And I think I give the kids 4 opportunities to shoot if they come in first. Second place, I think, would get 3, and the third place, they get to shoot 2 of these things. Feel free to mix it up and do more or less. Some of the issues that you may have: are you comfortable having a gun in the class? Is it too distracting? Your kid's going to turn around and shoot other people. Second thing is, where is it going to go and land? If you got yourself one of the smart TVs or a Promethean or smartboard, these things stick fantastic. If you got a good old-fashioned pull-down screen, they're not. So you may well want to get some of the non-stick ones, and you have to be able to have a spotter eyeball it where it hits. But they're fun, they're Nerf, and they're kind of simple. I definitely can see you saying, I'm going to pass on this one because it could create a level of sometimes excitement a little bit too high. I had an issue today, by the way, is that my little Nerf gun itself was struggling, and sometimes it would shoot them short, sometimes shoot them long. As usual, prep your materials, and this is a little bit hard. I prep my materials quite a bit, but there's so much with this game that you got to be careful because you can find yourself going overboard with it, which again, I mentioned at the beginning, be careful about how many things that you actually implement. Simply by just having dollars and zonks inside envelopes are a great way to be able to make things relatively easy on you, as opposed to being super creative. I do want to demonstrate in this video a lot of these different kind of games and find out which ones work for you. So, but this one again was called Bullseye.
Ready?
That's $1.
Oh!
There's 5. There's 1. Let me talk about this money. This money's super fun. There's a lot of things that you can do with the thing. Put the money in different places. So for one is you could have the kids decide, hey, whoever answers this question correctly, you get to grab a roll of money. So once you get a bunch of bills and you mix them up, you put different numbers on the outside, on the inside, you roll it up, and then from there you wrap the thing up with a rubber band. And the kids who get the question correctly, they get to be able to pick which one of these rolls do you want. And they can grab them and look. They'll try to be able to see on the inside. And you could be able to be silly, right? Put a 1 on the outside, but really there may be 100 hiding somewhere. Or the other way around, put a 20 on the outside, but the rest is filled with a bunch of 1s. Have opportunities like that. That's fun. And speaking of rolling them up, that leads me to the next one. The next one is my balloon pop one that I mentioned. How did we get these inside a balloon? You should have, if you buy a set of this money, you're going to have a lot of it. So feel free to be creative with these things. So what I do is I want to roll this thing up relatively tight. Get a tight roll on it. Get yourself some regular latex balloons here. And what I try to be able to do is feed that balloon inside before I blow up on this thing. Okay? As you can see here, I'm using a blue balloon. That's my school colors were blue here. I also got some white balloons too. I would not do this. Realize I tried to have some kids help me before school, and they were like, Mr. O'Donnell, we can see what's inside these things. So be careful about having some ones that they can see through. Then when you blow them up here, you can hear that there's something inside there, but they can't necessarily see what the bill is on the inside. Get yourself a pretty decent sized box like you can see that I have here. So when it's time, the kids are able to just grab the balloons and you can have them set aside. Like I said before, there's a lot of different moving parts in a game like this. The kids have a lot of fun. How you have them pop balloons, you can make them be creative. You could say, hey everybody, I got $5 for the person who could be the most creative in popping their balloons. So be careful on that though, but watch out. I have some thumbtacks too for some kids who simply want to pop and make it relatively easy, but they absolutely have a great time with balloon pop on that one. Another thing I want to be able to add regarding balloon pop, which drives them nuts a little bit, is I'll throw a couple zonks in there. And a zonk could be, I wanted to be able to make it sound like $1, so I made myself a couple of these ones. And this is called the Odie's Bank of Nothing. There's 0 on there, okay, that this dollar bill is worth nothing. It's got a picture of me that I simply put on there. You can be able to create your own dollars if you want. If you go to Lunapic, LUNAPIC.com, great way to be able to upload your own picture and you can put it on a bill. You can do whatever you want. 3, 2, 1 balloons.
Sit on it.
Give me a pen. Don't pop it. Yeah, see, this is why.
$1? That's a $1? I don't think so.
Oh wait. Odie's Bank of Nothing.
Yeah!
Dude,
Keep that one. Take that one home. That's a good one. That's a gamer. Kind of a fun way to be able to play along with that one. And besides, if you don't want to put dollars in there, you could put some of those other things, like a piece of paper that says, hey, 2 points extra credit, or a free fist bump, or bathroom pass, or something like that if you want to be able to add it up. But there should definitely be something, I think, with the balloon pop. If you're popping that thing, make something kind of come along that they got to be able to find with it. All right, the last piece on this thing is, how do you end the game? The easy answer is you end it whenever you want. You don't necessarily need to have sort of a, like in Jeopardy, the Final Jeopardy, or in Price is Right, the Showcase Showdown, and in Let's Make a Deal, it's the final deal, the big deal. You don't need to do any of that. You could just announce when you get to whatever game is your last one, put a little thing and say, hey everybody, here's our last question, and then you add it up at the end. The most easiest. You could do a couple other things. You could come up with a final one and let everybody know what this final question is going to be. You can make it a much more in-depth question. We even touched upon the part about what kind of questions that you should be creating, but I think that by purchasing this game, you've probably tried a couple other games in your past, and I would definitely recommend saying, hey, just like anything else, have some different DOK kind of level questions. Right, you do want some DOK level 1 questions and move up. Realizing that you can have some low level kind of questions in a game scenario like this, because what you can do as a teacher is after the question, after the kids have answered, you just take a break, pause for a second, don't announce that we're changing anything, but then discuss, hey everybody, you guys, so yeah, George Washington, he was our first president, but how important was he in terms of creating the legacy that it is the executive power? How important was it him choosing not to go for a third term as president? And then think about what you can do now is you can dive onto down some other roads to check to see how they're doing. And also if kids fail to answer relatively well, now you can pause the game a little bit, again, not figuratively, but just be able to take a few moments to start some of the reteaching process. This is all on you and about how you're able to not necessarily build the game, but navigate the game. Not just 100% as a host, but you're also an educator, so be able to use those opportunities and those times to be able to realize when you want to be able to talk more about it. Anyway, so back to the end. So a couple of things you can do is you can create a much more in-depth, a team-based kind of a question. Get together and they got to be able to create something. In the end, what I would recommend, if you are going to come up with some sort of final thing, you want there to be ranking. If I'm playing 3 teams, so I want some team to come in first, second, and third. A couple things can happen. It could just be a general question. They can bring it on up here. It could be the fastest, or it could be the most accurate. But whatever team comes in first, this is how I do the thing, is I just say, hey, take your money, how much money that you have. Whoever comes in first, you get 30% of your total. Bring a little bit of math in there. You may want to do the math on your own. I do 30% for first, 20% for second, 10% for third place. And it doesn't necessarily guarantee that the first place, whoever gets first place in the end is going to win the entire game. Another thing you can do is the game that I'm going to show you right now, which is down here, is instead of a final game, I'm going to have some questions, but those questions are going to go to a physical challenge that I stole a little bit from Price is Right. And this one I call the Final Putt. Okay, for the final game here, the way that I like to play, bring some physical challenges in here. I like to do a little miniature golf. And so my final game that I have, I call it Final Putt. And how this game is going to be different is all three contestants are going to be able to have an opportunity to be able to take and putt a ball into a hole. I have a little kind of thing that I bought at Goodwill, but hey, feel free to just set up a cup and a ball and a putter, and it would work probably just about the same. The issue about the final one is the first team that could be able to putt the ball into the hole is going to get that, just like I mentioned before, the 30%. Second place, 20%. Third place, 10%. I'm having the teams, they're all going to decide to pick who would they like to be their final player for this for the final game. They'll have the discussion, they'll debate about how good a golfer, but also there's some questions that they need to be able to answer as well too. And so the questions are important because I want you to be able to notice is that on the ground here, besides the just the ball in the hole, I've got some spots along the way. And I'm going to ask them three questions. In these three questions, if a student is able to answer every one of those three questions correctly, they are then going to be able to putt from the closest distance. They're going to have an opportunity to putt from right here. If a kid gets two questions correctly, they'll putt from back here. They get one correct back here, and if they don't get any correct, they still get to play the game, but they're going to be putting from all the way back here. So no matter what, everybody will have an opportunity to be able to putt. If they're back here, their chances are going to be slimmer. So we rank them. I put them after I ask the three questions on the whiteboard like we've done in the past. The kids will start up, and I'll say whoever got the most, they're going to go first. And the first kid will line up and try to be able to putt. Chances are they're probably going to struggle a little bit and miss their putts. So it's just going to continue to go through, have all three keep putting until somebody makes it. The first person that makes it will get the 30%. If you have just some horrific golfers and they're struggling, usually if it takes two to the third time of nobody putting, I say, okay, everybody, in the next rotation, everybody will move just one step closer, one step closer. Sooner or later, somebody is going to get close enough or lucky enough or skilled enough to be able to make themselves a putt. And the excitement kind of will go along with it. Generally speaking, you don't want this thing to go much longer than about 4 to 5 minutes kind of a piece. But kind of a fun sort of a breakup and a physical piece to the end. But like I said from the very beginning, please be creative in how you're able to do this. Anyway, so everybody, that's Let's Make a Deal. Like I said, thanks for taking a chance on a different style of game. I would love to be able to hear back about your experiences, what worked, what didn't. Also would be able to love about what sort of things that you tried that maybe you can add to the game that other people may find interesting too. As usual, you can be able to find this and a lot of other resources at my website, creativeedtech.com. And also, please also check me out on Twitter and share any of the resources and ideas that you have on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at creativeedtech. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the game.